Let me clean my eyes. Okay.
All right, so we will now call the order the Council of Alachua County's meeting for Monday, December 7th, 2020. This is a special workshop that we're doing today, so we're not taking any motions. So I'm going to turn this meeting now over to Gina.
Alrighty, good evening, everybody. The first item on our agenda is the strategic plan review. So I'm going to get to that first real page with some content. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review it. And if so, again, getting to the first page with actual words on it. Now the top part, that's in our board approved resolution. So my only hesitation with changing anything there is that we would also then need to ask the board to change the resolution. So that's, back in 2018, whenever they decided to form this advisory board, those are the goals that they had established for you at that time. And so it's fine if we want to change them, but in addition to changing the strategic plan, we may need to change the resolution just so everything matches. So that's my only, caution to you if you want to change anything really on this page. So does anybody have any comments on this particular part?
The only comment I would have is not to make any changes on this right now. We do have a new board of county commissioners. I think it might be good for them to understand who we are and what our function is before we make changes to it.
Agree.
So then moving to our next page, what do we think of our vision and mission? And that is strictly on this group, and so if you want to change anything whatsoever, that's perfectly okay. This is your vision and mission. And I'm trying to operate two screens, so that's why I keep going back and forth here.
I don't see anything.
I don't see anything either.
Okay. We'll go to the next page. So again, technically this is still a relevant document through December 31st of next year. But it is time that we start looking at it, and we can always report back to the board whenever the chair goes and does the annual report that we have accomplished these things, that we have new goals and objectives, and some of these things may not yet be complete. So with that, for example, developing a program of pro bono legal consultation for local artists, that has yet to be accomplished. That is something we were talking about kicking off at our conference, which has been postponed. So I'm hoping actually early next year, once Kanapaha Botanical Gardens allows us to have the conference there, that we can check this one off as complete. But until then, unless somebody has some other ideas on that particular one. And then that really dovetails into the second, which is developing training workshops for artists, facilitating supportive relationships among artists, art organizations, and cultural groups, maybe deleting one of the two ands.
I think number one, I think we can't do anything until after we can get COVID under control, or where we can start having, gathering, crowds.
Can
I
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
I think that there is a fair amount of community organizing that's happening via Zoom spaces and informational meetings, and a lot of artists have gotten acclimated to meeting via Zoom. And even if certain measures were preliminary, but I think a crucial issue that comes to mind, though, is a question of how many artists local artists might not have access to the means that would allow them to participate in um, Zoom conferences or whatnot, is an open question for me, but there are a fair amount of Zoom gatherings happening amongst artists that I think folks are open to and acclimated to at this point. So.
The next item is developing communication modality for information on art, such as a Facebook page. Currently, we do have an Alachua County Arts Council page on the county's website, and also as we need to get information out, the county's communication department does happily, boost things for us upon request. And so I don't know that if we're to the point where we have enough content to regularly have our own Facebook, but, if you guys think we do, let me know, but I'd also be looking for help that, coming up with content. You don't want something that you post every once in a while. You want something that's often posted on so that the content's fresh.
It seems like Visit Gainesville, Alachua County does an awful lot covering the arts as well.
So as far as taking an active role in reviewing art and monuments on county property and developing guidelines, what this stemmed from is at our Veterans Park, we had a surprise statue go in, and it was very abstract art. And so some of our veteran community, they felt that it was kind of disrespectful. So what it was is metal, and there was a very straight piece of metal, like a soldier at attention. And then as they age, then the metal was kind of more humped over, showing like an elderly type of service person. And then the third piece was the kind of metal that seemed like maybe the person was in a wheelchair. And if you didn't know what it was, I could see where people would think that it would be very disrespectful. So that's honestly from the backside, especially for those of you who are very new to the council, that's where that came from, that we didn't want surprise art showing up on county property without it being vetted by this group. And thank goodness up to this point, that's the one and only time it's happened. But if somebody does approach the county saying, hey, can we put a sculpture or monument or something on county property, we would run it through this group. So it's a case-by-case kind of thing. And I think that you are doing an excellent job of reviewing our art because we've had the call to artists. So you are actually doing that, but just some insight, some historical insight on where that particular one came from. So that's board directed.
Okay, I know it's not necessarily on our agenda, but because you're talking about this particular piece here, what is the update on Canterbury?
Sure. So we have the call to artists out, and I want to say it has a mid-January deadline.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that at our February meeting, we'll meet either regular, because hopefully all this COVID stuff will be done, or it would be in hybrid, so that you can actually make a formal recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. So I'm thinking at our next hybrid, if not regular meeting, will be our February meeting. Our January meeting, we could meet in workshop.
Okay.
Status.
Very good. Okay.
Develop funding guidelines for grants to artists and cities. And so for those of you who have been on the council for a while, you know that in 2020, we actually did our first grants. So we've achieved that. Funding grants for individual artists, we've done that. Providing partial funding for arts projects in the smaller cities. And so we're currently, the city of Alachua was the one that received our matching grant. And develop a poet laureate program, which, speak of the devil, he's in the room I'm in right this second. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, everybody.
So for those of you who don't know, that's E. Stanley Richardson. He's our Alachua County's very first poet laureate. As far as increasing funding for the arts, our objectives were to request funds from the Board of County Commissioners. They have funded all of these art projects that we've been talking about. Now, if there's something else that the council thinks is a good idea, something that we should pursue, let me know, and, we'll run it up the flagpole. But at this point, they've got about $100,000 worth of projects between the call to artists for the Ag and Equestrian Center, our Extension Office, and the West Lawn. That's right about $100,000 worth of, projects.
And a tax collector with that one as well.
Yes, that one is complete and closed out. So, and speaking of that, so increased purchase of art license plates, that was something that we decided, I believe, 2 meetings ago. So in almost every month of 2021, we've got the inserts going into the mailers. So, I want to say that there was only 1 or 2 months where somebody had already beat us to it, but I also told them that we're okay with sharing. So I don't know if the other folks were okay with sharing with us, but I did tell them that we're open to sharing with other folks. This is something we have not at all attempted to do. We tried our very first year to request some local art agency funds, and we didn't do well on the grant, and they really wanted to fund programs. And so we really haven't had arts programs to go from. So, you know, again, I'm open to ideas as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I think that each of us maybe can come up with a program, and at least talk about it. I was just looking at the division's, fast track, the state of Florida division's fast track grants are due, and they're just quick, like a quick project is due like in March, and then in a couple months for another one. I think we should try something so we can get in the state's eyes, so that they know we're around, whether it's hosting a music night or hosting something, or art, you know, not necessarily putting art in buildings, but actually a program, an artistic program. So something for us to think about.
Should I add that to our January agenda?
Yeah, if you could, please.
Absolutely.
Can we sponsor a group to show that we're out there?
Yes, that's the point. Either we can say that the Arts Council is, whether we're sponsoring Dance Alive or a drumming session or a program, but it's an actual program that someone could come and be a part of, either as a participant or watch it. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff they're going to be looking for.
Okay.
And then the more of those that we do, then we can then apply for the local, because we're a local arts agency as well as advisory board. So with that being a local arts agency, we're supposed to be a service for everybody within the county. But they want to see that we've actually got programs that we're running, not just our public art program.
Okay.
And then as far as seeking funds from other sources, and so if there's other local, state, federal, foundation grant sources available, so that we leverage.
So seeking for funds from other sources like writing grants. So we're gonna have a subgroup here. It's just gonna write those grants.
Well, do we have a paid staff person that does this for us?
So it depends on what it is. So we do have staff that can help tackle these things, but it does take a subject matter expert to help guide them. You know, I can't just say, we want you to write a $20,000 grant for, I don't know, art in the park. And they're like, okay, so what does that mean? So you need to, you know, kind of be with them and look over their shoulder and help walk them through that. So yes, absolutely, the county can help, because again, this group doesn't even have signature authority on things. It's not like I can have Carol sign grant agreements. It's technically the county. So it have to be our either manager, county commission chair, depending on who it is. So with all of these that you've seen so far, do we have anything that we're missing? Do we have some goals and objectives that we want to take off, add on before I leave this page?
I like it. I think it should stay.
Somebody said that poet laureate
Is Miss
it's misspelled.
Oh, it is misspelled. Okay, thank you. And also maybe changing some of the words, instead of develop poet laureate program, that we continue poet laureate program, or a different word rather than develop. So I'll just look at it for those types of.
Because it'll be time to do another call in 2021.
Correct.
Yeah.
Coming up fast, my goodness.
It is.
All right, so getting to our next page. And also, if you have some photos for our refreshed strategic plan, that would be very welcome. All right, so coming down to priorities and strategies, if you'd like me to read it, I'm happy to, or if you'd like to read it yourself.
We can't push a button that says read out loud. Okay.
So the Arts Council of Alachua County will prioritize citizens and artists who reside in rural areas and artists who target citizens in small towns and unincorporated Alachua County. The strategies employed to meet the goals include establishing alliances with art agencies and organizations, providing information, promoting integration among disciplines, promoting diversity and shaping the arts, bringing attention to the value of art and economic development, promoting sustainability of the arts and artists.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, we were just having an equity conversation at our last meeting, so I'm wondering if maybe we shouldn't include a sixth bullet that talks about, or maybe even in the fifth one, so promoting sustainability and something along diversity or equity or something like that, and maybe that fifth bullet.
Yeah.
So
That would be nice.
I don't know how folks feel about this, but like I'm thinking of like the previous calls I brought up last time, but it seems like in some of the recent calls, a lot of discussions around the historical legacy of the region have like come to a question. And I wonder if there's like a way to introduce the ideas of equity and the legacy of the region in one of these bullet points.
Like preserving the arts, the historical arts in Alachua County.
Or like recognizing that we're on Seminole and Timucua territories and that the region has a legacy of the Seminole Wars and slavery, and just being conscious of those things. And I don't know how the program is facilitated or curated, but if folks don't feel that, I don't know, I leave that open to the group.
I like what you're saying. I'm just not sure how to say it.
Right.
as a bullet.
Maybe I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Maybe we can just say like we first said, the diversity, sensitivity, diversity, preserving
Equity
okay, yeah.
and cultural, something cultural, like, because she's talking about the Native Americans. That's a cultural history we want to preserve.
Yeah, it's like preserving cultural heritage, but also recognizing
Heritage, that's it, cultural heritage. I like that.
yeah, but also recognizing histories of oppression, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm adding a note.
I can see it. That's too many words.
It is many words. I'll fix it. I promise I'll fix it.
Because culture, equity, and culturally. What did it?
I promise I'll fix it.
Okay.
And I'll send you out a red line draft, just so you can see how it was and what the proposed changes are. Because again, we have time, so again, we won't vote on this until at the earliest February, whenever we have a regular voting meeting.
It's
all right.
The thing is, we should say diversity in there, and the sensitivity of diversity in historical, but not single out one particular culture. You know what I mean? Not single out. Don't say, well, Indian, African American.
Okay.
Because I think that's where we might have problems, because people will start saying other things that maybe
not about identity politics, but about like
right.
a conversation. Like one thing too that's potentially a relevant issue is access. Thinking not only of like disabled access, but like economic access and issues regarding rural, like access of transportation and facilities, but just like access as a concept. Considering access in terms of equity and diversity could be a crucial.
Within the art.
Yeah, within the arts specifically, yeah. Like to artists and public who are wanting to experience art, like both of those things. So it's a lot. It's even more words. I'm sorry. There you go.
Alrighty, so as far as our income and budget, in the first fiscal year, funding for the programs offered by Arts Council relies on funds transferred from the city that have been generated from the sale of specialty license plates, plus revenue from the ongoing purchase of license plates. This is estimated to be $23,700. Staffing and office support depend on in-kind services of county staff and Arts Council of Alachua County members. Arts Council of Alachua County also has advisory responsibility for the public arts program, but these funds are not shown in the budget. The budget includes support for baseline activities. Grants submitted to LAA, Local Arts Agency, will expand these activities, but those funded from other sources will address special projects such as programs implementing school-based programs or special events. So we have done no school-based programs. And as far as special events, I would love to take credit for the fact that we provided grants to others.
That's doing events, yeah.
Who are doing events.
Mhm.
And so with that, is
And
there
we,
any
I mean,
verbiage change?
we did, as a council, support, the Board of County Commissioners supported the the Alachua County Youth Poet Laureate Program. And that program was to begin in the schools, but COVID. So it is something we can kind of build upon, that program. But the other stuff, if this is gonna be for the next year, we don't need do we need to keep the history of the city?
Or at least rephrase it that initially the city.
Initially, yes, okay.
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 All right. Now probably the hardest part is looking at the budget here.
Just
Can I
add
ask a
double.
question? Is it possible that we can get the city of Gainesville to give us funds to get artists to paint on their buses on a tour during season time?
We could ask them, but the thing that I do.
It's too late now. Right. It's too late now, but maybe next year, maybe we can set up some type of with what you call it, RTS, to put two buses on a route and commission two artists to paint around the buses, and they can tour during the holiday. Or I don't know how that will work, but it's an idea.
That is so weird. Like the budget is just not here.
I mean, but they can give up money. The city of Gainesville got money.
But you say the city of Gainesville, what department are you talking about? General revenue? Or are you talking about from their arts council?
Culture fair, and culture fair can work along with RTS on the idea. It won't hurt to put a poll out there.
We do have the chair of the city arts council on the call.
And a board member, I believe.
Mo, are you the other? Isn't it Chelsea who's also on the city's?
Yes. And I'm actually here this month, but I'll still be on the board.
The concern I have with asking Department of Culture Affairs at this moment is that it was originally a City of Gainesville, Alachua County board, and in 2018 that board is split. So it just seems really strange to me that we would go back and ask the people that we split from for funding.
Well, the other thing, if you look at our resolution, it talks about everybody but Gainesville. It's like we're trying to help
we're focusing
the eight smaller
because
guys.
because historically nobody else outside of the city of Gainesville could ever access this money, this arts tag money, and that was one of the things. It just nobody. They were doing work, but they didn't have any place to go. So the county is the place that the arts organizations or individual artists can come to. So it's not to say we don't want to support Gainesville or be a part of Gainesville, but I think we need
No,
to
no, no,
focus
no.
on.
I don't use the word support. I'm not supporting them. I want them to support us. It's a one-side marriage.
Okay, all right. I said what I said.
Well, I'm so sorry, guys, but for whatever reason, the strategic plan is like, it doesn't show the,
What is this?
the
But do you-
budget. So you can see it because I've got it on
Oh, I
this computer,
can
but on
see.
this
Okay.
computer,
It's not showing. Oh, okay.
So I'll read it to you. In order to fulfill the expectations described in the ordinance and resolution and detailed in the strategic plan, the Board of County Commissioners should provide funding for the arts. The second and third year budgets for the strategic plan are based on the availability of funds from the county, and license plate revenue is shown below. In order to fulfill the role of the local arts agency and achieve the goals of the strategic plan, the council will not be able to continue to rely on in-kind support. And so as far as, then there's a table, and there's absolutely no general fund money for staff or office space or communications or a website or transportation. That's all in kind. The very next line is we budgeted for the current year and next year, $2,000 for our poet laureate. And so I don't know if anybody thinks that dollar amount should change at all, or if $2,000 feels appropriate.
Can I ask how long is the term for the poet laureate?
2 years, so they get technically $4,000 over the course of their term.
I would definitely vote to increase that if there's room, but you guys know better in terms of what the other puzzle pieces are of that whole thing. I don't know. Yeah. So.
Right, so what do you guys think? Should we?
I would like to abstain from the conversation.
Well, this is the future.
Oh, for the future.
This is for the future.
Okay, future. Okay. Well, given that the amount of work that I personally know the poet laureate puts into this, and compared to other counties that do pay, it is very low. But I'll defer to whatever the council decides. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess maybe
Maybe
well, for 21 anyway, it's gonna be the
it's going to be
$2,000.
so 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they do a lot.
But do you feel like 3,000?
Three? Maybe 3,000. Everybody. What were you thinking? The one that said that wanted to increase.
I think any amount is great. Like I'm thinking of it in terms of like months of rent that this person can pay on like that amount, and you know, depending on where they live and if it's a job, if it's a title that they hold for the year, I feel like it should feel like a year's worth of support. And to me, $2,000 isn't necessarily a year's worth of support, but $3,000 is a little bit healthier. So like any increase to me is
Maybe that's a fair increase.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. I don't want. I also know that I don't know what would get sacrificed for that increase to happen. So that's why I just put it out there. So.
Yeah, I would also be inclined to support 1,000 for the 22, year.
Okay. The next item down was the tax collector's art for $10,000, which that's complete. And so if you've not been in the first floor of the county administration building, please stop by and see it. It's made out of recycled license plate tags. The West Lawn art was originally budgeted at $25,000. However, we increased it to 40, just because our first call, we got no responses whatsoever. So that one is in progress, and you should be seeing that probably your March meeting, I would guess, because the call I just sent it to you last week. So I want to say it's January, if not February, before it closes. Let's see, the county administration building south wall art. That's something that we're working with painter named Shepard Ferry, and because of COVID, he was actually supposed to come in this April, but that was put on hold because of COVID, and he didn't feel comfortable traveling, and I 100% understand that.
Okay, I know you said that the south wall, is there still the plans to tear down this building?
There
Remember
is.
you told us about that.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an odd thing, but I understand that these wall murals, they really only last about 3-ish years.
Okay.
And so about the time we're ready, but my goal too, if we could figure it out, is maybe if you painted on some panels,
Oh, that'd be great.
and then we could take the panels down, and maybe they could even, be in a room like this at some point. It's like those used to be on the outside, but now they're on the inside.
Okay.
So,
Shepherd
the
Berry is a big deal too. Like whatever wall he paints on is going to be worth stuff. Like when it's going to be a cultural icon locally. So I
it's
don't
a
know.
big deal.
It's a huge deal. Like I've been talking with Julia Morriser. She's been very excited about that. So yeah.
Is it possible to have some type of event centered around him painting? Like
Yeah. So do you know Heart Phoenix?
I do, with River Phoenix
Yes.
Center? Yes.
So she's the one that actually knows him personally.
Okay.
And so they want to make it a really, really ginormous deal.
Okay. Good. So maybe that's one of our projects we can help support.
Oh, and maybe that's something we might want to think for our LAA grant.
Yes.
And as far as the Agriculture and Equestrian Center, so one of the projects is $33,000, the other one's $34,000. So it's actually, right now it shows in the budget of $70,000. It's a smidge more than that. As far as so those were all of the expenses, and that's still the projects that we're kind of working on. So if I've forgotten something, maybe another expense that we need to include in there because it's further down is the grant. But because it's further down, I'll talk about it in a moment. As far as our revenue, we got that single one-time infusion from the city of Gainesville, and then from that point forward, we only get somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $3,500 a year from the art tag sales. So please tell your friends, because I'm not going to be able to afford grants very soon. So this current year, we gave out $15,000. So that's 4 to 5 years worth of art tag sales that we awarded in 1 year. So this next year, we're not going to be able to afford another $15,000 because even the unspent from the city of Gainesville. So again, $22,000 minus $15,000, that's $7,000. If we get, and I'm just for easy math, $3,000 in tag sales, I only have $10,000 for you guys to award. So $15,000 was a one and done year.
It was a good start.
It was a great start.
It was a great start.
So the artist conference I have currently budgeted as $1,000, and that's just some seed money because I know I'm going to have some expenses, just buying some things, making sure I have meals for folks. But because it's a paid event too, we have revenue coming in. And then we also had our mini grants, which are a max of $500 for each grant, major grants, which were $3,500, and then our grants to smaller cities, which were $3,000. So again, just looking into next year, that basically would give us about 2 grants per each category-ish. And then the next year I have basically $3,000.
For the grants, did you have a deadline when they need to report back? Because I'm sure they were affected because of COVID. So how are you handling that?
So what I've asked them is whenever their program is, they have within 6 months not to exceed September 30th.
Okay.
So, if they've kicked off right away, then no later than, what would that be, March or so?
Okay.
If they did it in October.
Okay.
But if it's, no later than September 30th, just so we have a nice clean fiscal year break.
Okay.
And then as far as our art tag promotions, we have budgeted $700 per year, but this next year we've actually increased that just because we want to try and get it in as many months as possible. We were very enthusiastic about getting some local arts agency grants, so we had budgeted $42,000, but as I mentioned a little bit ago, we've not even applied. We applied the one time, they told us you need to invest in programs, and we've not tried again, so I'll add that to our January agenda so you guys can kick around some ideas. And then if we do have a conference that would generate overnight stays, we would be eligible to apply for a Visit Gainesville conference grant. And so, that's something if we wanted to try and even expand our Kanapaha conference so that it would be an overnight and try and attract people not from here to come.
I have a question. Could we apply for use a conference grant, say for another organization, but we sponsoring that organization? For instance, like I know in High Springs they're wanting to do that mural project. So what if they had a conference or something? Could we be a sponsor for them?
So why wouldn't they just apply themselves? Why wouldn't they cut us out?
Okay, gotcha.
So we could, but we would be like the middleman.
I guess what I'm thinking is we need to have as many projects we say that we're doing or we're sponsoring. That's what I was thinking.
Well, and with that train of thought though, so Visit Gainesville again has awarded $1 million worth of for arts, nature, and culture groups for this current year. And so if we wanted to try and use that as leverage for
that local arts agency grant.
Because that is the county. Visit Gainesville is Alachua County, and so
Dr. Queen, don't you want to work on that with me?
With you? Sure.
I said, yes. Let's figure out how we're gonna get this agency money.
so I'm scrolling down, and it's just a photo on the last page. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nice.
All right.
Oh,
well,
and David too. Yeah, he's great.
So awesome. So I'll go ahead and make
Very
these changes. I'll email them out to you, hopefully in the next week or so, and then you'll be prepared to speed it up at our January meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Then the last item for tonight's discussion was that Andrew Mellon Foundation. So they have $250 million that they want to grant over the next couple of years for monument projects. And so let's see, it says the monuments project will fund the development of more inclusive monuments, memorials, or historic storytelling spaces, contextualize existing monuments or memorials through installations, research, and education, or relocate existing monuments or memorials. And so this was on our agenda last month, and so hopefully, everybody's had a chance to think about it. If not, we could just bump it again to our January agenda.
Can our agency or our group, can we also like sponsor like a jazz plaza or dance, a festival?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
I briefly thought about this a little bit. I think I was confused because I didn't know, did we have to come up with a monument or do we have to have a space? Because I think I briefly mentioned it to Gina about our new, well, it's not new, but we own Camp McConnell. And perhaps maybe we could apply for some funding to renovate Camp McConnell as an artist retreat, a place where artists can come for residencies, for performances. I mean, how big is it? Like 200 acres?
211 acres.
It's 211 acres, and the county owns it. And it might be a place that we could put a stage in there. We could have some storytelling. We could have some equity discussions. And we don't have anything else like that going on in the space, so we might as well use it. So that's the idea I had and because of the history of Camp McConnell, it may be a fundable project.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea because in Miami we have what you call the Bake House. The Bake House used to be a place where a big huge warehouse, and the city turned around and they made it like bay air like small bays where artists can rent studio space, and then they had an area where they have a monthly exhibit, and then they had like a stage for dance and theater and stuff like that. And different organizations can even develop their own nonprofit organization within that space with the help of volunteer leaders.
Right, and this one has cabins, so we can redo the cabins, and there's those artist rooms, or like you say, an artist could do a residency there, a writer, a painter, a musician,
Mhm. Sounds
surrounded
great.
by nature.
Yeah, and
So
there,
that's one of my project ideas.
I think that sounds like a really fabulous idea. That seems like a really uh, prime resource. I know that there's local artists who are already interested in that sort of thing, and I think that like with UF nearby, I know that there's a number of artist residencies I've gone to where you go to the residency and you give a talk at the local university as part of your visit, and that's something that could be easily like facilitated as well. So that could also be like a really good opportunity for artists who come through. That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Hey, so can we put that on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am, we sure can.
Thank you.
All right, and so that is everything that's on, today's agenda. We do have public comment next, however, it's members and it's just Carol and me, so I assume there's no public comment.
I did have something briefly. I went to their building in that dirt parking lot across from Mojo's Hippodrome. It's gonna start construction January, I believe, but it won't open until July of 2022. But one of the things that the people who manage it and were presented to that they are very much interested in allowing the showcase their artwork there that we can look to down the road, obviously when they're open, how that would work, to work with them to publicize their local artists' work, hotel, because it's gonna be like a hotel, space, and I believe even some condo. So it should be interesting once it's all completed.
Oh, and can I piggyback on that? We can also reach out to some of our local newspaper or organizations in the different cities of Alachua County, like Black History Month, Black Music Month. We can get them to uh let people put paintings and sculptures in their lobby. We can do that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like there might be an opportunity to um, I feel like that maybe like there could be in terms of events that maybe there could be a really great like even if we're still in Zoom, like maybe there could be a virtual panel of local artists who talk about their work. Not even just as a like specific Black History Month thing, but as a regular thing just to
We have a lot. We got a lot of historical things since we're going to add it to our thing. You know, we got Black History Month, we got Women Month, we got
well,
all
but also like
these other
I
things.
because part of me wants to be like, oh, I would love to. I think like a panel of like Black local Alachua County artists could be amazing, but I also don't want to be like, oh, it could be just February. I'm like that should just happen once a month. That could be amazing, you know, like but yeah. Uh,
I'm saying,
The
but you have
Mary,
March. You got a bunch of women. We can come in. A lot of women artists can come and talk about their art.
I don't, I don't know if you guys follow the Marion County Cultural Council, but they have something going on, like, seems like every day. So the Alachua County Arts Council, we could very well put together like one event. If somebody, like if you wanted to get musicians together or artists together and have like a Zoom, it doesn't always have to be so big, but believe it or not, you'll get people. Sometimes you'll get people from other places zooming
Mm.
in. So that would
well,
be fun, and that keeps us relevant. It keeps us always in the public's eye that we're here, and we're not just a place you come to get a grant once in a while, or we're putting up events up in the public county building.
and kind of
Because next year, I would like to talk about my project coming up next year.
Well, what is yours?
Huh?
What is your project?
Well, in August, I applied for a grant from the state. The state has recommended me to be funded, and what I'm doing is I'm going out to abandoned African American cemeteries. And I will be taking, doing a mixed medium with photography, black and white photography, and paintings, and publishing them in a tabletop book, and it will be distributed to museums and libraries, and also on YouTube. But this is Alachua County is just a pilot. Once I get that done, I have 17 more counties that I will be doing the same thing.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah,
does. So
I'm
you
working
need to
with.
set up a
Sorry.
Zoom that we can all watch, listen.
Well, but I would love to talk about my project because I'm finding out new things. Because just like you, she spoke about um, the slavery and the Indians and whatnot, looking for these cemeteries. Oh my God. I'm finding out new things. I can't believe that our government has moved headstones and didn't move bodies. So
Wow.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
I think the sky's the limit on topics and stuff we could talk about. I just think
Yeah.
we just need to maybe next year, January, we sit down and just put a plan together of different maybe Zooms we're gonna do, our conference, because there's just so much. And I agree with you. I went to High Springs a couple days ago to cover a story for the community radio station, and we found a cemetery that was it's a really beautiful, like $500,000 estate homes that's going up in High Springs. But down the street from where these homes were, there was a cemetery that was a black cemetery from the 1800s. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time, it was an all black community. And it was what was really interesting was the community was multiracial and they were really
Mm-hmm.
united. And that community kind of disappeared in 1950. But before that, they were like prosperous. They had 4 stores.
Mm-hmm.
They had the railroad track that ran through High Springs and
Mm-hmm.
Alachua, so a lot of people would work, go back and forth on the train. It was really cool story, and they had their
Mm-hmm.
one-room schoolhouse. But what was interesting is the cemetery. People were just throwing junk and debris on the cemetery, and then a family that knew that their ancestors was in there, started cleaning it out, and come to find out, there's like 60 graves in there. Um,
Right. Right.
yeah, and it's a
Yeah,
lot, probably a lot.
so far I have about 10 cemeteries in Alachua County that has been abandoned. Yeah.
It's been, yeah, yeah. So that might be some projects we could pull in with the historical society because I think they
Well,
do that kind of stuff.
I'm working with the chair of the
Oh, are
Alachua
you? Oh,
County.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So, but the art part, we get to tell the story.
Right. See, that's the whole thing is, holding on to that story. So even if they move the headstones and not the body, the story is still there and the story can be told.
Wow, good. Well, nice. Well, we don't have any public comment. I guess we'll adjourn and see everyone next year.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Anything
Right.
else, Miss Tina?
Thanks. Nice chatting.
All right,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Good
Happy
night.
holidays. Be
See you
safe.
thank
Wear a
you.
mask.
On Facebook, David.
Wear